will record. So I will record. So thank you for reminding me of that. And then I'm going to give you guys that link right there. If you guys could be kind enough to go in to that link and just click on that link, and then make sure whenever you're done with, whenever this training session is over, that you just go in to this post that I will now pin to the top of this page so that you can find it easily. And just comment on that post what your thoughts about this actual training session was. So I told you guys in this training session what we were going to do is, what did I tell you we were going to do? Oh, we were going to talk more about the flow builder. We were going to talk about some conditional logic. We were going to talk about some user input, and we were going to talk about Zapier. So all those things we're actually going to do. So to do that, and if at any time you guys have any questions, feel free just to actually raise your hand up. If you raise your hand, I can definitely unmute you, and then we can have a verbal conversation. Or you can just put any questions that you have inside that box, or you can also put any questions that you have on that Google form right there so that I can keep track of them. That's completely up to you where you put them at. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and create a flow real quick. So this flow I'm going to call get, I'm going to call it trade video review for value. So I've had a few people tell me that they were just struggling with money, they were struggling with cash, and they didn't have the actual money to go in and actually purchase the replays and the time with me. And I can almost completely relate to that, except for the fact that I haven't been broke for quite some time because I work my ass off not to be broke. So other than that, I can almost relate to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually build a flow that will allow you to trade some social proof and some social content for that value that I'm asking you for, that you don't have it. Okay. So if I could spell great. So if you just say no way, I'm just going to send you a message that says, so you better find that money then. And if you say yes, you're going to do it, then so I'm just going to ask you to go ahead and create that testimonial that is between 1 to 2 minutes long. And then I'm going to wait here some 30 seconds. I'm not going to show typing. Then I'm asked for user input. And this user input is going to be a file. So I want you to upload a file. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do here is I'm just going to grab this and So I'm going to just ask you to tell me what you're going to actually upload, and I need to actually ask that again down here. And I'm going to ask you for the video file or the video URL. All right. So those two things I'm going to actually ask you for. Now, if you say that you're going to give me the video file, I'm going to do this. If you say you're going to give me the video URL, I'm going to do that. So if you want to give me the video file, then I'm going to do that. And I'm going to stick this into something called video testimonial, which doesn't actually exist yet. Pretty sure that's not spelled right, but who cares if it's spelled right or not. So I'm going to collect that file from you, and I'm going to stick it in here. I'm going to stick the actual file in here. And then if you wanted to actually give me the URL, then here, I need to come over here and change this to a file type, remove this skip button. And then over here, I'm going to go in and say, please give me the URL to the video review. Do not give me the file, but give me the URL where I can find the video review at. And this is going to be a URL. I'm not going to allow you to skip this, and I'm going to put this in the same guy called video testimonial. So far, everything clear. I'm just going to go in and say, hey, you don't have the cash to pay me. That's no problem. I don't really need the money that bad. So why don't you give me some social proof instead, which is actually most of the time more valuable than the money itself, because the social proof will lead to several other sales. So from that social proof, you can go in and actually get several other monies from other people who do actually have the money. So if you find somebody that's interested in your product and they really don't want your, they really want your product, but they're just struggling with the cash, and your product is some type of digital product that you can deliver, then, keep in mind that that's something that you can always do, is you can always go in and query from them and get some type of content payment instead of cash payment. You can get a contextual payment that will ultimately allow you to get more cash from other users who do have the funds. So you don't just have to turn away those people that don't actually have the money. So here, now I've done that. So we're going to continue to the next step. And this next step, we're going to go in and just have an arbitrary condition. And this condition is we are going to check that video testimonial has any value. So if that has any value, then we'll thank you. If this doesn't have any value, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write you right back to the starting step, I believe. So if you somehow have got out of this and you haven't given me any value at all, you haven't given me that link, and you haven't given me anything in this custom field, I'm going to route you right back to the starting step where you can start over again. If you have, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, thanks a lot. So let me check it out, and I will get back to you. And then from here, I'm going to continue automatically, and I'm going to do a couple actions here. So the first action, I'm going to add a tag, gave video review. And then I'm going to add another tag that I need to check video review. And then I'm going to add a zap trigger, which is going to be called push video review. So now I'm going to perform those actions. So now my flow is pretty much done. All right. So if you guys have any questions about the flow or what I've done here, then like I said, you either just raise your hand or just ask the questions in the chat. So now I've done that. So now what I want to actually do is come over here to Zapier. And I know a lot of you guys kind of struggle with Zapier and you guys are a little bit confused about Zapier, but Zapier is this really, really awesome software. You can use it for free. They've got some paid versions as well. So I use the paid version. I've got the most advanced version that they offer. Some of you guys have actually seen me in real time go in and give these guys money and upgrade these accounts. I couldn't actually do these training sessions if I didn't pay these guys $120 a month. So in order to even do these training sessions, I have to pay these guys $120 a month, because if not, I wouldn't have the actual bandwidth to go in and create more zaps and have all these zaps running from my different bots. So if you're not a power user, you can definitely get in on their free account and just do things for free. But at some point, you're going to want to upgrade one reason that you want to upgrade is if you don't have a paid account, then your zaps only run every 15 minutes as opposed to being able to run every 5 minutes. So what Zapier does is essentially they are an aggregation service. So if you think about Travelocity, Hotels.com, Expedia, all of those websites are aggregators. All they do is they aggregate, flights, or they aggregate hotel bookings, or they aggregate car rentals. They pull in all the service providers of hotels or cars, and they bring them into one platform. So Zapier itself, what it is an API aggregator or an application aggregator. It allows applications to talk to each other. So it allows you to make applications talk to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to name this guy whatever we name this, and we name this Push Video Review. So we're going to name this guy Push Video Review Demo Bot, because that's going to be for our demo bot. So we're going to use ManyChat as our trigger. So our trigger, you can see we have several different triggers. When a new or custom field is updated, so new or updated custom field. So we're piping this data right down into a custom field. So here we're actually piping this to a custom field. So we could trigger a zap that any time that this is updated, then we want to go in and push a zap. If we did that, then I wouldn't actually have to create this action called trigger zap, because as soon as this field was updated, it would automatically trigger that zap. All right. So I would essentially need to go into Zapier and actually build the zap itself. But for ManyChat, I wouldn't have to have this action over here called trigger zap. I could go in and say, hey, whenever this custom field is updated, this video testimonial is updated, I want to trigger the zap. So I could do that. I could do it whenever I have a new subscriber. So whenever I have a new subscriber, this zap would run. Whenever a user is tagged with a particular tag, this zap would run. Whenever a new chat is opened, this zap would run. Or whenever a new trigger zap event, which is what I'm doing here, I am over here in these actions, I am triggering a zap. So whenever that event fires, then that's when this whole process here that I'm going to build, that's when this process is actually going to happen. So I'm going to save and continue. I'm going to pick from the bots that I've authenticated. So if you guys don't have in ManyChat, if you don't have this option as an action, if you go in and add an action and you don't see this trigger zap, you need to do two things. You need to, one, make sure that you are on a pro account in ManyChat, because this is only available for pro users. And two, you need to come into Zapier and you need to make sure that you actually have the account connected. So you need to go in and actually connect whatever pro account that you have. Once you do that, you will then be able to see the action trigger zap. So I've already got my account connected, this demo bot. So I'm going to use that demo bot right there. The event that I'm going to fire off on is that push video review. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to create a new sheet. And this is going to be demo bot video testimonials. And here I'm going to put in the ManyChat user ID. I'm going to put in this guy's name. I am going to put in the review link, and then I am also going to put in a status. All right. Now, the one thing I do need to do here before I do anything is I need to come right here to this column, highlight this whole column, and I need to come over here and go to format and format this as a plain text number. If I don't do that, then what will happen is this number will be put in some random scientific notation, and I will have no way to send a message back to this user from a zap that I trigger on this status being updated. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to go in and put a status of new here, and then as I go in and actually review these videos and make sure that it's a video that I'll accept for the $47 fee that I'm going to waive for you, or whatever it is that I'm waiving in exchange for this video testimonial. As I go in and actually look at these guys, I'm going to change the status from new to viewed. And then in this status over here, what I'll just do is I'll put in accepted or rejected. So whether I accept this video or whether I've rejected this video. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put in comments here. I'm going to put in a comment here. That way, if I reject your video, I can give you a comment and tell you exactly why I rejected it. And then what I can do is whenever this status changes from new to reviewed, then I can have a zap that listens on this column right here. And since I have your ManyChat ID, I can push you back a piece of content that will say, hey, I just reviewed your status. It's been approved. Or I've just reviewed your video, it's been rejected. Here is the comment why it's been rejected, okay? So all of that we're gonna build out right now. So now I've got this guy built. So now I'll come back in here to Zapier. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna fetch and continue. Now when I fetch and continue, what's gonna happen is Zapier goes out to ManyChat API and it pulls in a piece of data. So you can see it's pulled in this piece of data. What is the event that has actually fired this zap? So the event is this push video review. And now you can go in and see a bunch of information about this user. So I can see their name is Weiji Lim. So this is Weiji Lim. I think that's how you say that. Probably not how you say that. I can see that this guy is in Great Britain, that he speaks English, he's a male, what time zone he's on, what his ManyChat ID is, and then I can see all the custom fields that I have, and I can see the last growth pool that he's actually interacted with. So, so now what I'm going to do is my action. So this is my trigger. So in Zapier, you basically have three concepts. You have the concept of a trigger. That trigger is whatever thing is going to cause this zap process to begin, okay? In this instance, the trigger is going to be ManyChat. So ManyChat is what's going to actually cause this whole process that we build to start. Then you have another concept, which is a filter. Filter is like a condition. Just in ManyChat, you have a condition. So here you can set some condition on whether or not this process should continue or whether this process should exit, okay? And then you have the concept of an action. So you can add in one trigger. That's it. That's all you ever get to have is just one trigger. You can add in as many filters as you want, and you can add in as many actions as you want. Now, if you add in as many filters as you want, you just need to understand that your first filter, whenever you add in some filter, you see only continue if, and then now you can go in and say only continue if any of these values from your first step. This is just bringing in all the data that came from your first step. So if this user's first name contains whatever that guy's first name was, it was okay? So now for this first guy, it will trigger because that is his name. But for the next guy, if he triggers it and his name doesn't actually continue this zap will no longer continue. It will exit because I've filtered out. So this is just another conditional check that we can have inside of Zapier itself. And I can add as many as I want. The only thing that you need to remember is that these filters are not if you stack them on top of each other this way, they are not like an or clause or an and clause, okay? So this whole filter is going to process only if you continue from this filter will you then be applied this next filter where you can filter again, okay? So if you want to have those and clauses and or clauses like we talked about in the first training session, then what you would need to do is go in here and add some ands or add some ors, okay? So now you can see that you're only going to continue if this is true or if this is true. Or you're only going to continue if this and this are both true, or this and this are both true, okay? So for this step, I don't actually need any filters, so I'm not going to use a filter. What I do need is Google Sheets. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a spreadsheet row. And I'm going to go into the spreadsheet row, and I'm going to pick that spreadsheet that we just picked, not that one. What we actually need to do is make sure that we're using the correct account. And I'm not using the correct account, so I need to connect that correct account because I can see here that this spreadsheet is owned by a different account than what I'm using. So now that I've picked that correct account, now I can actually find that spreadsheet that I've just created, this demo bot testimonial, okay? So now I'm gonna pick the worksheet, that's one. That worksheet is just this worksheet down here. If I have multiple sheets, then I can select that particular sheet. So now that I've done that, it's given me all the fields from, my spreadsheet. So here's all the fields. These are called headers. Here's all the headers from my spreadsheet. I have access to them now. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push into this spreadsheet values that are coming here from step one. So for my ManyChat ID, I'm gonna come in here and grab this guy's user ID from step one. For the name, I'm gonna grab this guy's name from step one. For the review link, I'm gonna go in and just type in video and then grab this user's custom field, video testimonial. For this status, it's always gonna be new. And then this review status and comment is just going to be blank because I'm not gonna fill that out until I actually go in and review this actual video. So now that's done. And then now the next thing that I'm actually going to do is I am going to go in, and what I'm going to do is I am going to grab this link right here. I'm going to get a shareable link, and anyone with this link can view or can edit. And I'm just going to grab this link right there, and I'm going to put that in here. So now I'm going to send that test. Now you can see, here's that test. So it just sent the data to Google Sheets. You can see there's that guy's name, Ouija Lim. So this is Ouija Lim. There's his ManyChat ID in case I want to push him back a piece of data. All right, so now I'm going to add one more step here. And this step is just going to be Gmail. I'm just going to send myself an email to let myself know that, hey, somebody has actually sent you a video review. So I'm going to use a new Gmail account because I don't want to use any of those other Gmail accounts that I already have, because Gmail gives me a rate limit of 500 emails per day, and I'm already probably going to use those from those other accounts. So I'm just going to use this account right here, and I'm going to come in here, and what am I going to say? This is to, so I'm going to send it to myself, and I'm going to just put from that guy. From name is new video review. Subject is going to be, you have a new video review. So I'm going to say you have just been left a video review by some piece of data that came from step one, okay? And it's this guy's name, by this guy. And you can view that review right here, also from step 1, where I can just go in and say video testimonial. And I'm going to say this. So you've just been left a video review by this guy. You can view the review right here. This is going to be the URL where the review's at. And you can also see all the reviews here. And you can just go to this Google Docs right here and see all that. And I'm going to continue. And then I'm now done with this app. So I'm going to send this test to Gmail. And the test email was sent to Gmail in about dot. So hopefully that means that he has now sent my email, and you can see there is my email. New video review, you have a new video review. So now I have a new video review, and I can just click on this guy right here, and I can go and see my new video review. So you can see that was pretty easy. All right. So now that guy's actually done. So this guy's finished. So I'm going to put this guy in ManyChat training demos because that's where he belongs. And I am going to turn him on. All right. So now that Zap is completely done. So now what I could do, if I wanted to, is I could come in here to my growth tools, and I can create a new growth tool. Call that Give Video Review. I'm going to replace this with that guy right there and go next. And then I'm also going to open up that flow and find out what's going on, because I can see, if you guys notice this little orange guy, all these orange guys mean that you have unedited content here. So all these orange guys mean that what's happened is you've went in and actually changed this flow. You've edited this flow, but it's not published yet. So I can see that I've done some edit and this guy isn't published yet. So I'm just going to publish him. All right. And then now that he's published, I've got this guy. I can give this guy out to you guys, and I can say, hey, if you guys want to leave me a video review, then you can just click on that link. And if you click on that link, then you can be injected right into this flow, and then you'll be able to go in and leave me that video review. So I also know that here, even though that I am collecting a file, so I know even though that I'm actually collecting a file right here, I know what ManyChat is going to do is they're going to take the upload of that file, and they are going to give me back a file URL. And yes, that's what John is doing. What ManyChat is going to do is they are going to give me back the end destination. They're going to give me back a file URL on Amazon S3, because that's where they store their data. They store on Amazon S3. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of this guy right here. And then I'm going to click on my own link. All right. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to see if I can find in here some .mp4, any .mp4 in there. This looks like some .mp4. That's a .mp4. So now what I'm going to do is say, yes, I'll do it. And this guy's going to wait 30 seconds, right? For some arbitrary reason, he's just going to wait 30 seconds. And after that 30 seconds, he's going to come in. After that 30 seconds, he's going to wait and say, tell me what you'll actually upload, the video file or the video URL. Like I said, both of those things are going to actually turn into a URL. Even if the guy gives me the raw file, which is what I'm going to do, and he just messaged me about that. So now I'm going to say, hey, I'll give you the video file. So can you please give me the video file? Sure thing, buddy. Here is that video file. So there's your video file. there's your video review file. So now he just said, thanks a lot. You know, here's some video of me. And then now I can see, look, I just got a new email that says new video review. I have a new video review. So I can check it out directly here by clicking this link. There's that file. So this is the video that I just uploaded. All right. Or I can see all the reviews by clicking right here. And look, there is that review right there. Okay. So now with that being done, what we're going to do is we're going to create another flow real quick. And this is going to be called response to video review. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Flow Builder, and what I actually forgot to do, so I'm going to open these up in a new tab, and I forgot to do something that I really need to do, which is go to my template content, and I want to grab this Logix block right here, and then I want to come back to this flow right here called trade a video for value, and I want to edit this guy, and I just want to say, hey, you know what, if you're unsubscribed from my bot, then you just need to get out of my bot because you're not allowed to be here. If you're not unsubscribed, then you can be inside there. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to put some gatekeeper at the beginning of my flow that looks to see if you're unsubscribed from my bot. And if you're unsubscribed from my bot, I'm just going to tell you, get out of my bot. There's no content for you here. If you are not unsubscribed from my bot, then I am actually going to continue. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to go into settings, and I am going to create a new custom field. All right. This custom field is going to be video review status, and this guy is going to be a true or false. Okay. True meaning I'm going to accept your review. False meaning I am not going to accept your review. Okay. And actually, I changed my mind. It's going to be text because that's going to make it easier for me. All right. So he's going to be text. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this guy real quick, and I'm going to route myself into another condition. All right. And in this condition, I am going to check that value that we just created. So if this is accepted, and I'm just going to come over here and put in that the possible values are accepted, rejected. All right. So those are my possible values. It can either be accepted or it can be rejected, and that's it. All right. So now what I'm going to do is come back over here, and I'm going to create one more custom field that is going to, so that first custom field that we just created is what's going to hold this value right here. The next custom field that I'm going to create is going to hold this value right here. So I'm going to create that guy, and it's going to be called video review comment. Okay, so that guy's created. So now what I want to do is come in here, not to there, to one of these guys. If this guy is accepted, so now you can see what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this guy out a piece of content once I review his video. All right. And if this guy is accepted, then it's going to come here. If this guy is rejected, then it's going to come here. All right. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a card that says, congrats, your review was accepted. And here, I'm just actually going to put in video review comment. Okay. So now I'm going to put in video review comment, and then I'm just going to Google accepted. And I'm going to find some image that says accepted. It's a good image. So I'm going to save this image right here. And then I'll come back here to this piece of content, and then I'll just grab that image. So now it's been accepted. And then I'm going to go in, as you can assume, I'm going to find one that says rejected. And here's another good image. Thanks a lot, Google. So I'm going to save that image. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come in here and copy that guy and paste that guy, just because, only because it's actually going to take me less time to copy and paste that guy and edit him than it is going to be to actually create a new piece of content. And I like to save time, and you guys should like to save time too. And this is probably image is not going to work, but I think that works. So now what I'm actually going to do is give you a delay and ask you if you want to submit a new video review. If you say yes, then I'm going to route you in that flow. If you say no, then I'm just going to send you a message that says no problem. So that's going to say no problem, enjoy your day. If you say yes, I'm going to go to a particular flow, which means I'm going to inject you right back into this trade video review for value. I'm going to put you right back into that flow. Okay, so now I've got this piece of content called response to video review. All right, and I've got this data right here, this condition where I'm checking to see if your video review status is accepted or rejected. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to build another Zap. And what this Zap is going to do is it's going to listen to this guy's, it's going to listen to this guy's status right here, and is going to listen to a change there. So if there's any change in this guy's status, then I'm going to go in and I'm going to push out that piece of content that I just created. So let's create that guy. And I'm going to call this guy push out video review status for demo bot. Now, here, my trigger is going to be something else. So in my last Zap, my trigger was ManyChat. ManyChat is what's actually going to cause this whole Zap process to happen. Here, I'm not going to do that. Here, what's going to cause this Zap process to fire? Well, that's going to be Google Sheets. So whenever I have a new or updated spreadsheet row, I want to fire, I'm going to use this account because that's where I created that at. The spreadsheet is going to be obviously that demo bot video testimonials. The worksheet is going to be 1. And the column that is going to trigger is going to be the status column. So we're going to pick that status column. That is going to be what's going to trigger this. So now we're going to fetch and continue. So let's continue. So now we're going to have 3 actions here. Like I said, you can have as many actions as you want. What we're going to do in these actions is we're going to set a custom field. And we're going to use this demo bot. Why do we have this ManyChat ID? Well, we have this ManyChat ID so that we can easily find the user in ManyChat that has given this, so that we can push down these values here. All right. So I'm going to find that user. That user, I'm going to use a custom value, and it's going to be this ManyChat ID coming from step 1. You can see how Zapier is giving us the data from step 1. All the data in step 1, you can see I have access to all that data in step 1. So the custom field that I'm going to set is going to be something like video. Well, I don't know what that custom field is going to be. So in order to know what that custom is going to be, video review status. Now I can see, I don't see any video review status. So I'm just going to click that button again a couple times. until I find it. There it is, video review status. So you can see I just had to click that a couple times, and then now I'm going to give in this review status accepted or rejected from the spreadsheet. So whatever value that I put in here, anything that I put in here is going to be sent back down to this user and stuck in their custom field video review status. All right. So now I'm going to get that data back into ManyChat from Google Sheets. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to skip this step because I don't actually want to send this to ManyChat. And then I'm going to add another step. This step is also going to be ManyChat. And it's going to be very, very similar to the step that we just had. We are going to set a custom field. We're going to do that inside this demo bot. And we are going to go in and pick this user. And it's going to be that guy right there. The custom field that we're going to use is going to be video review comment. So I don't see it, so I'm going to recheck. I'm just going to keep rechecking ManyChat until it gives me that comment right there. So there you see it finally gave me that comment. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab this from step 1. So you can see what Zapier is doing. Zapier is giving us all the data from step 2, and he's also giving us all the data from step 1. And as we keep adding steps here, Zapier will keep giving us access to those data from those different steps. So my data particularly is going to come from this spreadsheet. It's going to come from this column right here. That's step 1. So I'm just going to pick step 1, and I'm going to pick that comment right there. So now I've pushed in those 2 custom fields. I want those 2 custom fields because those 2 custom fields I use here. One of those custom fields I use in this conditional block to tell you whether or not I accepted this video or whether or not I rejected this video. All right, so I use one custom field as the logical engine that decides have you been accepted, have you been rejected. And then in both of these guys, I use that video review comment inside this card to let you know what I thought about your video. So if I didn't like your video for some reason because you said, you know, John's really an asshole or John cusses a lot, well, what am I actually doing? Well, I'm trading for your social proof for your video review. I'm trading you money, right? Instead of charging you money for something, I'm going to give it to you in exchange what I would typically charge money for. Instead of charging the money, I'm going to charge a video review. So if you go in and make a video review that's not really conductive to get other users to want to go in and purchase a product, well, why the hell am I going to give it to you for free if the thing that you're giving me doesn't have that value that I'm waiving? So I'm going to go in, and if you give some review that is not something that's conducive to encouraging other users to actually, you know, spend the money, then I'm going to reject it, obviously. So I'm going to push in here the reason that I've actually rejected it so that you know what the reason is, so that if you want to go in and record a new video, then you have that in mind. You know, hey, why was the last one rejected? So now I've pushed you down that data that I need, right? So now I have that data that I need. I'm going to skip this step. And then I'm going to add one more step, which is also going to be a ManyChat step. And this time I am going to send a content to user. So I'm going to push down. What is a content? A content is one of our flows. That's what a content is. So this allows you to push down any particular flow down to a user. So any piece of content that you've pre-created, you can push that down to your user. So as you can imagine, I'm going to push down the user this piece of content, this response to video review. I'm going to push that down to my user. So I'm going to do that demo bot. And who's my user? Well, my user is going to come. At this point, I could pick my user from step 3, step 2, step 1, because it's all the same user ID. But I'm just going to go ahead and pick step 1 because that's what comes first. And then what piece of content am I going to put in? Response to video review. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to skip that test. and then I'm going to be finished. And that guy is done. And let's see this in our dashboard. This is called push out video reviews demo bot. So now I'm going to come in here and say this is rejected. And I'm just going to say this is actually not a review because it's not a review. I mean, I can clearly tell that this is not a review. This is some real stupid video. It's 7 seconds long. It's 7 seconds long. It's not actually a video review. So that's why I'm rejecting this, because this is not a video. This is not a video review. This is just some random video that you've given me. So please give a review. It should be 60 through 120 seconds long. All right, so now I'm going to give you this. Now, the only thing you need to remember with this data that you're pushing down to Zapier is over here, this guy does have a limit of 80 characters, it looks like. So you can only give 80 characters, okay? So if you want to give more than 80 characters, all right, if you want to give more than 80 characters, what you need to do is do something like this. And then you can put it down here in that text. Just like that. All right. So now I could just go in and see below for why your video was rejected. All right. So now I can do that. So now I've got this information. That guy's actually been saved. So now what I'm going to do is come and go over here and say viewed. Doesn't really matter what I say there at all. And now I can come over here and I can run this Zap. This Zap will run every 5 minutes, but it's going to run right now. And now you can go in and see that I'll get this. See, I just got that custom piece of content that says, oh, snap, your review was rejected. See below for why your review was rejected. Here's why I rejected your video. This is not a review. It's a random video. Please give a review that should be 60 to 120 seconds long. Would you like to resubmit a review? Yes or no? Yeah, sure. I'll resubmit a review. So this is going to go right back into that initial flow, all right? Because that's where I sent you. If you said yes, I'm going to send you right back into that initial flow, which was this guy right here. I'm going to send you right back in there to repeat this whole process again. So now we have essentially, in this one flow, we have essentially we've talked about the flow builder. We've built everything, obviously, inside the flow builder. We've done some conditional logic. We've set some conditional logic. We've got some user input. We've queried some input from our actual user. Essentially, we've got a URL or we've got an actual file. And then we've done 2 different zaps, all right? So we've created 2 different zaps to go in and, yeah, so now we can go in and create some keyword. That contains any of this. I don't have money. I'm broke. I can't afford. So we'll create that keyword, and then we will go in and attach that flow right there. So I can just say I'm broke. All right. And then that will happen. So now I can go in and get that. Now there's only one other thing that we should probably do here. All right. And what we should probably do here is we should probably come back to this Zap right here and edit this Zap. All right. And what I think we're going to do with this Zap is now we're going to come in here and we're going to add a filter. And in this filter, we are going to only continue if we're only going to continue if this status contains rejected. This status exactly matches rejected. So if this status exactly matches rejected, let's go in and refetch this guy. All right. So now I can see he's rejected. So now let's go into this filter. Let's continue and test this filter. So this filter says this zap would have ran. So my last step is what I'm going to do in this last step is I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete this right here. Okay. So if this guy sent me a video that's rejected, then I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete this rejected video because I don't need this rejected video for any reason. So I'm going to delete this guy because how this works is whenever you do an actual lookup, that lookup is going to go in and find the first occurrence, and it's going to give you back the first occurrence. Now, for this, it wouldn't necessarily be necessary. So for this particular zap, I don't really need this step at all because I can go in if I want to and just fill this out. And then wait 30 seconds and give a new video and go through this process again. And then what I can do is go through this process again and everything will work just fine. I don't technically need to delete this guy because what I'm triggering this second zap on is based on this status right here. And I'll get a new status here and I can go in and actually do that. So probably I just won't have this filter right here because it's not actually necessary. So now I'm going to give this guy another video file. I'm going to give him the same stupid video file that I gave him before. There's that video file. So now I should be able to come over here and see, hey, here is a new video file. All right. So now I can just come in. I should get some email. Here's a new email that says new video review. Here's a link to the file that he's just given me, that new file, so I can go in and watch it. Here's a link to the spreadsheet where I can find everything. And I'm also going to reject this, okay? Well, I'm not going to reject this, by the way. I'm not going to reject this because if I reject it, you're just going to see the same thing. So I'm just going to accept it. All right. So now I'm going to accept that guy. Now I can come over here, delete this step. Yes, really delete it. Turn this guy back on. See this in my dashboard. It's this guy right here. So I'll go ahead and run it. I don't have to run this like this. This will trigger every 5 minutes automatically. So since this will trigger every 5 minutes automatically, I don't actually have to run it, but I am going to go ahead and run it just so that you can see what happens. It will trigger on one new sheet, and now I should get something that says, hey, your video has been accepted. Congrats, your review was accepted. This is an awesome review. Thank you so much. All right, so any questions at all about this and how we've built this and how these things actually work, how we're leveraging user input, how we're leveraging our conditional checks, our conditional blocks, how we're going in and actually leveraging Zapier to do two different functions. So here we've got Zapier doing two different things. One, we've got Zapier sending us out the data to the spreadsheet, and that same Zap we're going to email ourselves to let us know there's a new video review. And then we've got Zapier also listening on this status here, and whenever these statuses get updated, then going back and finding this guy, sending him out a notification that just pushes down a piece of content. And inside this piece of content is where we handle should this get accepted or rejected. That way we only need one zap, right? So we only have to build this one zap that is going to send us down this, and we only have to build this one flow, this one piece of content, and then in this piece of content, we can just decide what do we want to do in this piece of content. Well, in my case, I want to tell you if I accepted your video review, or I want to tell you if I rejected your video review. So that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so now at this point, I think what I would do is I would come in here and then I would just add an action group, and then I will add a tag called action taker because your review was accepted. So I'm gonna now tag you as an action taker because that is what we're trading. We're trading you being an action taker for you giving this video review. So now that guy's all completely done. So that kind of goes through the flow builder, conditional logic, user input, and Zapier. All right. So do you guys have any questions on that whatsoever? Any questions at all on that? That's correct. All you need to do is go in and build out all you need to do is create your spreadsheet, give it a title, and then create your headers where you're going to put data at. And then now Zapier can find out those. And yes, now ManyChat, now Zapier can go in and get this data. Now, or Zapier can go in and put data in here. Now, this has nothing to do with ManyChat, okay? We've got a trigger that we built that trigger, and now because we have that trigger, every time that trigger happens, then ManyChat just dumps all the data that we have about that user to Zapier. Now in Zapier, we can go in and start grabbing the pieces of data that we want and filling it into our spreadsheet. All right. Now our other zap, this zap right here that we just created, wherever it's at, called push out. This guy right here, this zap, this Zapier, yes. Zapier doesn't necessarily load it from ManyChat, but what happens is ManyChat pushes the data out to Zapier. So ManyChat literally, whenever you trigger a zap, ManyChat just takes all the data about that user. So you can sync, you've got your user here, and he's got all this data attached to him in custom fields. He's got his name, he's got this review link that's in a custom field, he's got some other data that's in a custom field. So ManyChat just grabs all this data and it just throws it out to Zapier so that if you need to use any of this data, you can do anything that you want to do. All right. So, but all the magic is really happening inside Zapier because it's Zapier that we're using to connect all these different applications. You know, it's Zapier that's saying, hey, connect ManyChat with Google Spreadsheets plus with your email. So Zapier allows us, because it is essentially an API aggregator is what Zapier essentially is. It's an application aggregator. So because it has so many different applications, it allows us to do some really, really cool things. All right. So Dennis, you said that a similar logic could be applied to build out a job interview flow. Applicants could go through some certain qualifying questions, some of which could be responded with a video. This would help recruiters gauge the quality of the applicant before coming to a next step. That's 100% correct. You could use this for that. We could build out that flow as well, but that's 100% correct. We could do something very, very similar. And if we were to build that out, what we would do is also use some other logical engine so that a user could abandon that application, and at any time we could push him back out that application so he can start at whatever process he was in that application from that process and not have to repeat the entire application. So Colin, you said very cool question. If Zapier only returns the latest row from Google Spreadsheets, what if two people submitted at the same time? Wouldn't the data that Zapier sends back to ManyChat get mixed up? No, not at all. Not at all, because Zapier, this zap right here that we just created, push video out, okay? This zap is firing, if you look at his template, he is going to fire on a new or updated spreadsheet. All right, so let me show you a really great example of this. All right, a really good example. Here's a really great example. Let's come over here. And let's go to this finish bot segmentation. All right, let's turn this guy on. Okay. So now let's find him. Now here's finish bot segmentation. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm just going to open up an incognito window, and I'm going to go to Gmail, and I'm going to log into a different Gmail account where I have a different spreadsheet that contains it contains all the data that I've collected from you guys whenever I've done a segmentation process to go in and collect information from you guys about what will be very valuable to you guys to learn in this training session. All right. So I have went in and I've got all this data. All right. So all this data has come from you guys. This is all your guys' data, and I filled this out with what's called a ghost broadcast. All right. So I can look and see who's answered every single question. So all you guys, I love you guys because you guys have answered every one of my segmentation questions. All right. Now, what about people who have not answered any question? Well, if you haven't answered any question, that means you're on step 1. I can see 68 of you guys are still on step 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some arbitrary value of 666. All right. I'm going to put in some arbitrary value of 666, and I'm going to run down here all the way down the line, and then actually probably come here and delete all this up to right there. All right. So now I've went in and I've updated all those values. All right. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to run this guy right here. And you'll see that he's going to fire on 66 events. See, he just fired on 67 events. Now, if you look at DemoBot, DemoBot is sending out messages to all these people saying, hey, you know, our next training session starts in some time. If you could take some time and finish out the bot segmentation process that I've asked you to finish out. So now I can see that this is sending out to everybody. So these users now are getting all those 66 people. And if it's any of you guys that are on this training session right now, then just please go in and finish up this bot segmentation, because it's really useful to me to make sure that these classes end up being the most valuable to everybody. All right. So now you can go in here and I can see that, look, this person right here, she has now started to fill out this bot segmentation process. All right. So now she's actually went in and she started filling out this data for me. Why? Because I sent her back out this flow. Because if I look at this Zapier integration right here, then what I do is I am listening here. All right. So here I'm listening to this guy right here. I'm listening to this make training better to this guy right here. And I am listening to this status field. That status field is the field that I just went in and updated. So I just went in and updated that status field arbitrarily to 666, just because that's a good number. So I went in and updated this guy to 666. Now that this has been updated, then this Zap has went in and said, oh, that status has been updated. Well, I need to send a piece of content to a user. So now he's went in and found the ManyChat ID from this spreadsheet. So he's went into each of these guys. He's grabbed their ManyChat ID from every single row. So this has literally fired 66 times, all right? This is fired for every field that has updated. So if 2 people go in an update column, then you're gonna have 2 zaps that actually trigger out. So 2 distinct zaps will trigger out, all right? So no big deal if people are actually going in and doing things, all right? So now I've also went in and I've given a timestamp here. so that I know when the last time I sent these guys a message was, so that I don't bombard them with messages. So now I can go in and see, hey, the last time I sent them this message was this time at this time. All right. So, and now I can go in and see that, hey, Barb just unsubscribed. No big deal. I don't have any problem with that. If you don't want to do the bot segmentation, then I mean, probably if you don't have 2 minutes to go in and help yourself and give some information so that this training is valuable, then probably it's just going to be a waste of your time to take my training anyways. So no big deal. I don't care if you guys unsubscribe. Does not actually hurt my feelings. But I can see that now all these people have been sent out this flow, and they've actually been injected into this flow called segmentation. This flow right here. All right. Now here's your bot segmentation flow. Here's all the questions that I've asked you guys. All right. What's your experience level building bots? What's your primary reason? And we're about to actually, as soon as I explain this, we're going to go in and build out some conditional logic, because I've seen a lot of questions on that. Some conditional logic that basically deals with these two fields right here. All right. So I've asked you guys all these questions to fill out all these questions. So now I can go in and I can see on this same guy right here, if I were to go up here and say, hey, let's find everybody who's on step 2. Only one person is on step 2. So I can come in here and I can update this status to 666. And then I can come back in to here, see this on my dashboard, finish bot segmentation. I can run that. And that just fired on one Google Sheet. And I can see that this person, they are, if they hit OK, you won't see it. I won't see it unless they hit OK, because I added in this block right here where they need to hit OK. That way they can just go ahead and tell me, okay, I'll do this, or they can say, hey, no way. And then if they hit no way, I'll let them know, hey, look, if you don't do this, then I'm just going to unsubscribe you from my bot, because I don't think it's going to be very valuable to have you as a subscriber. Because honestly, I don't really just want to have arbitrary subscribers. I want to have subscribers that ultimately are going to provide some end value. So if you're not willing to go through segmentation, then I mean, there's probably no real reason for you to be inside my bot anyways, other than just stealing content from me. So I'm just going to go ahead and just unsubscribe you, because as soon as I unsubscribe you, you can no longer get any content whatsoever from my bot. So if you were to actually come in here and say, stop, I'm going to unsubscribe you. Now you've been unsubscribed. Now if you go in and try to get any content from my bot's just going to tell you, you know, hey, screw off, you're unsubscribed. So everything's going to work. Like the menu's still going to be there. But if you try to access any of that data, then you are not going to be able to get any of that data. And then we did build out a way where you can go in, and if you say start 3 times, then once you say start 3 times, then you can finally get subscribed back to this bot if you type in start 3 times. So now you've typed it in 3 times, so now you've been subscribed again to this bot. And now that you're subscribed again, now things will actually work for you. All right. So, so this guy just starts with some conditional logic. He's got a conditional logic block here that just allows you to go in and figure out what step of this process you're on. So Dennis, you were saying we could go in and we could build out an interview process, and we could build out an interview process. And when we build out our interview process, it would look something very similar to this, where every step of that interview process, we are going to set a custom field for what step you're in the interview process. So we'd have some custom field called interview process step. And then every step of the interview, before we start that step, we're going to go in and update that custom field so that we know what step that user's currently on, and we can keep track of what step that user's currently on. So since we know what step they're on, we can start our flow with this conditional engine, and we can say, hey, you know what? If this guy's on step 3, then why don't we go ahead and just route him over to step 3 so that he can skip step 1 and 2, because he's already answered those questions. So let's just bypass those questions and put this guy right back into the flow right where he left off. And if you do that type of thing, you'll find you'll get a lot more engagement, because users don't have to go in and answer questions that they've already answered. You know, no one wants to go in and fill out half a half a that's something that I'm planning on doing. I'm gonna build a flow out for you guys where you'll have access to all of these. If you're action takers, you'll have access to all of these flows that you can clone right into your bot. But you just need to keep in mind that these things won't work. You'll have to go in and actually edit these things and fill these things out. And also your conditions won't work. You'll need to go in and update your conditions and stuff like that. So yes, and that's the thing. A lot of people think that if you want to build a complex bot or a functional bot, that you need to go and do a custom platform, or you need to use something else, that you can't really do it with ManyChat. Well, that's not really true. If you can build a very complex bot, but you just have to know what the hell you're doing. So if you don't know what the hell you're doing, then you just need to come to these training classes and I'll teach you exactly what you should be doing and exactly how you could be doing stuff. So that being said, what we're going to do is, I noticed that before I got banned from the ManyChat group, before they banned me from there, I noticed that a lot of people were always asking about keywords, and how could you have, different keywords that are the same keyword, but, respond to different things. All right. So in natural language processing, there's so many theories and so many books have been written about this shit, and it's called conversational logic. All right. So if you want to have one keyword yes, that responds to multiple different things, because a person could type in yes. Well, when he types in yes, what answer do you want to give him? Well, you want to give him an answer that's relative to the conversation that he's in. That's where conversational logic comes in. So in order to do that, you need to have two things. You need to first keep track of somebody's conversation, and at some point you need to tag a user what conversation that they're in, and then you need to set up a conditional block that looks and checks, if you're in this conversation, do this. If you're in that conversation, do that. So we're going to build out a flow that does exactly that. And in this flow, we're not going to use a conversation concept. All right. We're going to use a custom field concept, which is very, very similar to a conversation, because a conversation ultimately would just be a custom field where you put somebody in a sales conversation or a customer support conversation, so that you can deliver them content that's relative to the conversational topic that they're in. So we're going to do this about my services. All right. So I'm going to create this flow about my services in case any of you guys ask me about my services. I have some services, and I do have some services. I do run a software company that has 30 engineers that work full-time on staff, and that's what I do. I sell software engineering services. So now I'm going to go in and create some keyword that says about your services, etc. All right, so now I've got this keyword, and it's going to go in here. All right, so now if you come in here and type services, then you're going to get that message, I have some services. All right, now I do have some services. I do sell some services, okay? But what services are you actually going to be interested in? If you're going to ask me about my services, if I want to convert, one, as Dustin told us, we need some pretty good copy that is explaining the benefits of our services and not the features of our services. So that shit, I still don't know how to write that good copy, so I got to go watch the replay myself. But I do know that the services that I want to offer you are most likely going to be relative to what you're trying to do. So I want to go in and come in here, all right? And I want to start some condition, all right? So you remember this right here? Remember this piece of data? Let's look here at everybody that answered everything. Now I can see that I have a bunch of people that have said their primary reason is for their business. I have other people that said that they want to offer this as a service. All right. So now I would assume that my services that I want to offer you are going to be different based on whether you're trying to do this for your business and you're just going to build one single bot, or you want to offer this as a service. Why? If you're trying to do this for your business and you're just going to build one single bot, well, I better take my time and get my money from you up front, right? I better get a larger amount of money because this is a one-off project. Now, if you're trying to offer this as a service, right, you want to build your own bot building agency. Well, at that point, now it brings in, residual purchases, multiple purchases. I have the opportunity to engage with you in a longer lasting relationship where you can be a repeat client and you can give me multiple purchases, right? So my sales pitch that I want to give you is going to change, and it's going to vary based on what you're trying to do when I've actually segmented you, all right? So now I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to look here, and I know that primary reason is the custom field that holds this. So I'm just going to go check on primary reason. If I can find primary reason, there's primary reason is, and I'm just going to come in here and copy this guy and paste him in there. All right. So if that guy is that, and it looks like I spelled business wrong. If not, then I'm going to route this guy in here. All right. And this is going to be offer as a service. All right. So now I'm going to start right here. And actually, I'm not going to start right there. Actually, as you can imagine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that guy from my template. And I'm actually going to start right there. And if you're unsubscribed from my bot, well, guess what? I'm not going to tell you anything about my services. I'm just going to tell you to go away. All right. So now, if the primary reason you want to build a bot is because you want to build this for your business, well, then you're going to come over here. And these are going to be my services to businesses. All right. If not, then I'm going to do this conditional check, and I'm going to see, hey, if the primary reason that you're building a bot is to offer these as a service, then this is going to be called services for agencies. All right. Those are the services that I'm going to give to agencies. I'm going to give them obviously different services. And then if you're not either one of those, then I'm going to give you some different services here. All right. So I'm going to say, hey, I've got some services that are really good for small businesses. And then I can just ask you some questions. What service are you interested in here? This is copy that I'm not going to get into going in and actually writing right now because it will take me some time because I got to go first watch Dustin's video and do all the shit that he said so that I can list out all the features of my services and then translate those into some benefits and then do some research so that I can actually not waste my time and give you some really crappy content that you're not going to convert on. All right. So here I'm just going to give a generic message. I have some great services for agencies. You can let us be your entire back end. We will build all your bots for a very low price so that you can focus on getting more sales. You're most likely better at sales than bot building. You're at least nowhere close to as good as we are at bot building. And I know that for a fact. Even if you guys are ninjas, even if I got ninjas on the line, I know you guys are nowhere close to my company's level of expertise in building bots. So might as well just let us do it for a low price where you go in and focus on client acquisition and getting more sales and just focus on what you're actually good at. So here I have some really cool softwares that you might be interested in. So now if you haven't filled out my segmentation, and I don't know if you are interested in, if I don't know that you are interested in offering this as a service or offering this as a business, I can offer you this service, which is just some software, or I could go in at this point and ask you, you know, what are you interested in? Are you interested in offering this as a service, or are you interested in this for your business? And then I could go in and store that information and then just route you back here to the beginning so that now you can get the correct thing. All right. So now if I come in here and I ask you about services, then now this keyword is going to be, if I go in and actually look and see John Vaughn, let's find that guy, John Vaughn, and let's find out what his primary reason is. All right. So his primary reason is for my business. So since his primary reason is for my business, all right, he's been routed to this. Now this is specific to him and his reason. I have some services that are really good for small businesses. Which service are you interested in? Now I can go in and list out my services here. But this is going to be the same keyword that's going to fire for everybody, right? So now I can come in here and I can grab this guy and I can just update this that he wants to offer this as a service, right? And then I can reply, tell me more about your services. Oh, so if you can see what's happened is tell me more is another keyword. So I've fired on that keyword. So what you guys can do is you can come down here and you can find this tell me more keyword and you can just drag him down here. So now that he's down here, you have changed the precedence, okay? So the precedence is from top down. So you'll only ever fire on one keyword. You will not fire on multiple keywords. You will only ever fire on one keyword. And how it happens is you start from the top and you check top down. Check this, check this, check this, check this, check this. So literally what happened is this guy was above this guy. He had both keywords. He had tell me more about your services. He had two keywords there, right? So there's two keywords there, but he found this tell me more. He found him first because he's above about your services. So he fired off this keyword. So we'll just move him down there and then we'll give the same thing. Tell me more about your services. Okay. And I cannot speak Russian. Sorry about that. I can't speak Russian. I can't understand Russian. So that didn't work, guys. As you can see, he still fired off. And that's why, because he's got contains and not is. So now let's try that again. Tell me more about your services. Now he should get the services ones. So there you can see now he's got the services ones. The reason he still got the conversational one here is because, thanks, Sonny, because like I said, this was set to is and not contains. But now that he's set to contains, you can see that the precedence here is he's heard tell me more and he's heard about your services, but he found this keyword first. So he's going to fire this guy off. So just so you know, there's a reason that you guys can move these around. And the reason that you guys can move these around is because they are in a top-down hierarchy in which they fired. If someone gives you a message and it has 20 different keywords in it, it is only going to fire one time for one keyword, and it's going to do that based on the first keyword it finds in this list. So those precedents are set like that. So now you can see I've given him the same message that I gave him up here. Tell me more about your services. Here I told him, you know, I've got some really good services that are great for small businesses. Here I'm telling him something more specific to him that's saying, hey, I have some great services for agencies. You can let us be your back end. We'll build all your bots for a really low price so that you can focus on getting more sales. You're most likely better at sales than bot building. You're at least nowhere close to as good as we are at bot building. So this is a message that's more specific for somebody who's given me the data that they're actually interested in doing this as a service, offering this as a service. And then now if this guy comes in and he has nothing in here, right? So now if I look and I see that in this primary reason, I believe is what that's called, primary reason. So in this primary reason, if I clear this guy out, or if I were to put in some arbitrary data inside there and now go in and ask him about services, again, now he's going to give me a completely different message, okay? So you can see he's given me 3 completely different messages, all fired on the same keyword. This is the exact same keyword that's being fired here. But what we've done is inside the message for that keyword, we've built this logical engine that looks and has something relative to a key, relative to one of their custom fields, or like I said, you can also drop a person into a conversation. So I have a good example of that already called conversation. If you look at this conversation, here's a conversation where you can go in here and I can say, hey, look, I'm going to show you how to start conversations and have conversational keywords by using some sample conditional logic, some simple conditional logic. So you pick a conversation, all right? Now I'm having you pick a conversation, but most likely what would happen is you guys in the background, without the user knowing, they would be clicking on some buttons, and based on those buttons, you would be adding them to a particular conversation. So here I just have a conversation variable, and I say, hey, that conversation, this guy's in conversation 1, or this guy's now in conversation 2, or this guy's now in conversation 3. And then I let you know, hey, I've got a few conversational keywords that you can use. And you can say, tell me more, or you can say, who are you? All right. So if we look and see, tell me more, if I go and look and see, tell me more, I can see he's got this guy right here. And as you can see, pretty straightforward. The exact same thing here is I just route you into conditional block. If you're in conversation 1, then you need to get this reply to that keyword. If you're in conversation 2, you need to get this reply. If you're in conversation 3, you need to get this reply. So now if you ask the bot, tell me more, he's going to say, you know, hey, this is relative. We're in another conversation. This is our second conversation, so I can tell you more about this other conversation. So let's change our conversation up, and let's go to conversation 1. So now I'm in another conversation. Now I'm in conversation 1, and I'm going to say, hey, tell me more. And now he's going to, on that same keyword, he's going to say, hey, I can tell you more about conversation 1. Same thing, if I go into conversation 3, I can go in and I can change myself into conversation. I need to change that to say conversation 3. But he's in conversation 3, and I can say, tell me more. And that allows you to go in and get yet a different reply to the exact same keyword. So you're getting a different reply to the exact same keyword. All right. So any questions or concerns that you guys have about that? If you have any questions or concerns, just go ahead and drop them in the box. I'm going to go back in and look and see if there's any questions that I missed from you guys while you're doing that. Dennis, you said interview, in addition to getting a sense of applicants' level of knowledge and experience via written responses, the video answer components would also help provide a sense of their interpersonal communication skills and how they may come across to potential clients. It would also give a sense of how well they pay attention and follow instructions. In the end, via a ghost post, John described you could have a Google Sheet table of all the responses from applicants and rank them based on answers provided. That's correct. Hey, John, I received segmentation. This is from Yvonne. I received segmentation info based on email address. Large list of things respondents are interested in. When I build a list through ManyChat to receive email addresses, can I combine two sets of info and then make conditional messages? So Yvonne, I'm just going to be honest and I'm going to say I have no clue what you're actually asking me here. So if you want to get on the microphone and we can have like a little bit of a dialogue and you can explain to me exactly what you're wanting to do, then I can better answer that. But the short answer from my side is almost always going to be yes. My short answer is almost always going to be yes. You want to do it? Well, we can do it. It just depends on what you want to do. And yes, we can do it. There's almost always a way. As you guys, some of you guys that are here have been on so many of my training sessions and you guys have asked me so many different crazy shits to do. Not one time have we really ran into something that we couldn't do. I mean, there's always a workaround. There's always a way to actually do something. It's just a matter of brain power and how much we want to think about. So Mary, you asked, can we share some of these flows with the action takers? Yes, I'm going to be going in and doing that. I'm going to be going in and actually making out a flow for you guys that will have the links to a bunch of share flows for a bunch of generic stuff. Haidar, you said, holy shit, this is pretty freaking versatile given you know what you're doing. Hashtag shit's crazy or shit's great. So, let's see, any other questions? It would be great if the keywords can work with the tag so that you can give a certain answer based on what tag the person has. So same keyword can have multiple different answers based on the tag on what tag the person is with. So that's what we literally just did, Amar. We literally just did that, except for instead of using tags, we used a variable, a custom field. We could easily go in and change that to be tag based. All right. And that's essentially what we're doing here. In every one of my flows, essentially we start out with the exact same thing, where if you look, literally every single one of my keywords operates as a dual base keyword, where you want to ask a question. Okay, fine. Ask a question. Well, the first thing that's going to happen is not this guy, all right? This guy doesn't have them yet, so we just need to grab them and copy them and then paste them in here. Now, essentially, we are doing exactly what you asked for, Amar. We're looking at his tag, and if he's not unsubscribed, then I will respond with this based on this keyword. If he is unsubscribed, then I'm going to respond with that and say, hey, buddy, you're unsubscribed. This bot no longer works for you at all. So what you're asking to do, we can do it. We just did it. David, you said, can you give me info on your services and I can work on some copy for you? Now, I'm not the master craft copier writer, but hey, all in trade. So just to answer that question, David, I would definitely say no. My engineers are master level engineers. My engineers are very skilled engineers, and I'm not going to trade engineering services for subpar content. Now, if you were a master copywriter, then yes, I would have no problem working out a barter system. But if you're not a master copywriter, well, no offense, but I don't want your copy in the first place. If you're not really good at writing copy, then I don't want to put your copy in something that I'm going to do because it's not going to be really good copy. I'd rather get the copy from an actual master. That's what I want to do with everything. I want to get what I'm getting from somebody that's really, really good in that domain. So, Yvonne, you said traveled with big European airline. These days, they send boarding passes with barcodes, QR codes, all kinds of info about flights and baggage, etc. That was awesome. We can't do that in ManyChat yet, so we can send down URLs. We can generate custom barcodes, and we can send those custom barcodes, the URL to those custom barcodes down to ManyChat. We can't actually send back a custom image though, or set a custom image yet in ManyChat. Now, if we wanted to do with a different bot provider like FlowX or somebody like that, FlowX allows us to do stuff like that. So a different bot provider could allow us to do that. There are some that allow us to do that, or obviously a custom bot will always allow us to do those things. To optimize our income potential while minimizing time and effort, it's preferable to focus on these things that we're best at and outsource/partner for the rest. Totally agree. At John, there's one problem I noticed with quick replies. If a person wrote hi or so, the answers will disappear and no way to return him back unless you returned him again to the previous step. That is correct. That is correct. So how can you change that? Well, you can change that really easy by going to a flow, creating a new flow, and call it no more quick replies. And I'm going to ask a question here. Here most people would put quick replies, but I'm going to use user input multiple choice because they're about the same thing as quick replies. So I'm going to say multiple choice, and I'm going to put in reply 1, reply 2. Obviously, this could be yes or no. These could be whatever your typical quick replies are. So whatever your typical quick replies are, you just put them as a multiple choice. Do you want to allow free text input? Well, you can if you want. So do you want to? Let's say, yeah, you want to. Great. So where are we going to put this at? Let's just put this in Q1 because we have nothing better to do with this but put it in Q1. All right, let's go back to our flow builder. Let's continue automatically from this step. And let's drive these guys into a logical engine. Here's a condition. This condition is going to be if Q1, where's Q1? That's where we're putting our data at. We're storing our data into Q1. It's just an arbitrary field. If it is reply 1, then we're going to do this. If it's not reply 1, then we're going to do this. If it's not reply 2, then we're going to do, actually, we don't need that guy anymore. Because if you remember, I gave you guys a formula earlier, which is a very, very simple mathematical formula, and it is called n plus 1 or n minus 1. This formula describes to you how many routes that you will have with your conditional blocks, n being your conditional blocks. This formula tells you how many routes you get with n conditions blocks. This formula expresses how many conditional blocks you need for n routes. All right, so if you need 50 routes, then you need n minus 1, 50 minus 1, you need 49 conditional blocks. If you have 50 conditional blocks, then you'll get n plus 1, 50 plus 1, 51 routes that you can flow users to. So, since I only have 3 datas here, then I need n minus 1, n being 3, minus 1, 2 conditional blocks to handle everything. All right, so here's a message. You gave reply 1. Here's another message. This guy gave reply 2. And here's another message. And this guy gave. This guy gave Q1. So I don't know what he gave. He gave whatever he wanted to give, but I didn't really know what he wanted to give. All right, so now I got that thing. So now I can push this guy out. And you can see these look a lot like quick replies still. So they look exactly like quick replies. But if I were to go in and put in hi, now those guys do disappear now that I put in hi, okay? But if I go in here and come back here and I take that off, then now they no longer disappear. So they're only disappearing because I'm going to allow this guy to give me some free text input. All right. If I don't want free text input, which means I want you to mash one of these two buttons right here, buddy, and you need to mash those buttons, well, then he can say hi, and I can tell him, you know what? Let's try that again, because that shouldn't have happened. That still shouldn't happen. So that is not something that should be happening, just so you know, because I'm not allowing free text input. So since I'm not allowing free text input, he shouldn't be allowed to do that. So let's just try again. So I can't explain that. So I can't explain why he's actually, oh, maybe it's because. Let's try that. There we go. All right. So now you can see that if he types in hi or anything else, then we're just going to tell him, hey, that is not a valid response, buddy. You need to give one of those responses that I've asked you to give. So now he can give one of those responses. So your answer to that, and it is an issue with quick replies. So your answer to that is just get rid of quick replies and then go in and instead of using quick replies, go in and actually use multiple choice questions. So use user input, use multiple choice. Multiple choice simulates what a quick reply is. And if you do that and you go in and make sure that's turned off, that you're not going to allow free text input, and you give some retry message if the answer is invalid, then anytime he goes in and tries to give some text and he tries to enter in some text, you're going to go in and just return back to him those quick replies that you wanted him to push on and say, no, buddy, you have to mash one of those things right there. All right. So Joe, you said this session was very interesting. I don't have or know how to use Zapier, but this is the first time I realized maybe I should get it to emulate the video testimonial process that you created. So you definitely want to have Zapier, trust me. If you guys aren't using Zapier, then your bot is going to be pretty much limited to some conditional checks and some just broadcasting out content. If you want to have anything, Zapier's free, Joe. So you could use, that's right, just GIFs. If you guys want, I can just give you a link to another bot training where you guys can learn about fucking GIFs and, doing nothing with your bot other than delivering GIFs. It's $497, and they will teach you how to deliver GIFs in your bot, and that's all. And it's $497. So if you want that, just let me know. I'll give you a link to that bot training. But you definitely want to use Zapier, okay? So you definitely want to use Zapier. Yvonne said, you said unmute me, so I will just unmute you. And then let's see. You said this is intense. Sarah, you said, good point, Adamara. This keeps happening to me. So if that's happening to you, Joe, then you just go in and you do what I just showed you. You just go in and use you go in and use a multiple choice question with user input instead of using those quick replies, and you can see that solves your problem. When you share the flow, it'd be helpful to list the tags and custom fields that are necessary to also create. So I can do that, Colin. Don't worry about that. The way I would do that is, I would just go in and I would have some arbitrary guy just sitting over here at the side that would just have a text message, and he would list the custom fields and their data types that are required. And whatever, if there's a Zapier integration or something, the Zapier integration and a brief overview of what that Zapier integration is doing. So no problem doing that. So it's awesome to have this info in Messenger instead of some email address. The airline is working with Facebook Messenger. New bot is called Blue Bot. You can book tickets via Messenger. Thanks. Is it costly? No, it's not costly. Like I said, Joe, there is a great free version of it. But as you consume more zaps and you do more zaps and you want different access, there are some zaps that are premium zaps and you can only have access to them if you're on a premium account. But it's not expensive. I pay them like $120 a month is what I pay them, but I have full unlimited access where I can do whatever I want, as many zaps as I want, as many actions as I want. So just so you guys know and you understand their pricing structure, this is one zap. All right. They limit you to the amount of zaps that you have. Now they also charge you by action. They also tell you how many actions that you have, and one zap does not equal one action. When a zap runs in here, I've got 3 actions. So every time this zap runs, I'm going to consume three actions from my zap budget, which is why I just pay them $100 a month so that I get unlimited actions and I can have whatever I want to happen, and I don't have to worry about anything at all. So not really that expensive. Okay. How to use gifts with your bot, only $4.97. It's a great deal. So now, Yvonne, you had some questions. We got a couple minutes left, so you had some questions you wanted to ask.
Oh, thank you so much, John. You were asking about my question combining 2 sets of information, but you already gave the answer. It's always possible. So, and it's too difficult and too much to ask you at this very moment. But I want to thank you for this session again. Was so full of great tips. Thank you.
You're welcome. Totally my pleasure. I'm glad you guys all came here. But what you're wanting to do, we can definitely do it. But I mean, all it seems like is we need conditional logic. So this conditional logic is really your friend. You can go in and have a flow that starts out with just a huge conditional block, and you go in and you check, hey, is this guy this? If he's this, then check all these things. If he's one of these things, then check all these things, right? And then ultimately, you could have 150 conditional blocks that end up flowing into just 3 pieces of content if you want. So
yeah, but my thing is I get the information from an offline event, but I do have the email addresses. So then I think maybe we can combine all these things through the email address.
That's correct. So what you could do, if you've got these guys' email addresses, all right?
Yes.
What you could do is, for example, I will show you this. Let's go in here and let's download all these guys. All right. So let's download all these guys, and then let's come over here and make a spreadsheet called Action Takers. All right. And did you give me my spreadsheet? Yep, you gave me a spreadsheet. All right. So, Sunny, where are you at? Sunny. What's up, Sunny?
Hey, how's it going, John?
It's good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful, and I'm always learning with your training. And, every time there is so much to learn. And there are a couple of questions I wanted to ask. I've been working with, 4 projects right now with clients. And, honestly, I want to know, like, I don't want them to see the ManyChat, branding on this. Because
I'll just answer that before you keep going. Just don't use ManyChat then. If you don't want them to see ManyChat branding, there's absolutely no way whatsoever to get rid of that ManyChat branding. So, there is a way to do it, all right? But if you want to do it, then you need to know some custom coding, because what you need to do is you need to add this stuff to you need to add their stuff to the site, and then after it's loaded, you need to go in and have some JavaScript that goes back and looks at those things and then pulls out the shit that you don't want to be there. But if you do that, you're going to violate ManyChat's terms of services, and then they could just, shut your service off for removing their branding. So if you don't want the ManyChat branding there, then you can't use ManyChat, because they're going to make sure their branding's there.
Right. I don't want to do it in any wrong way or unethical way, to be honest. It's just I wanted to ask you, that if it's possible. But you answer my question now.
It is possible, but not advisable. So without
Right.
being a coding ninja, then without being a coding ninja, you're not going to be able to do it. If you know custom coding, then yes, you can go in and actually do this by going in and looking at what they go in and add. For example, if you look here and I look on bots, dot this, dot this, dot that, and this guy comes in and he's going to pop up some guy here.
Right.
And
Those
what
are the pro tools, I am using for
you
those clients.
you're saying you want to get rid of this right here, so we need to
Right.
go in and we need to inspect this element. All right, now inside this element right here, he has given us a whole bunch of data here.
Data.
So
Right.
what we need to do is we need to have an engineer like me go in and actually spend some time to go
Right.
in
I
and
got there
actually.
was saying on this. I got that part. I know it's kind of advanced. I do a little bit programming, but I'm not that advanced like you, and I'm not that genius like you. So heads off to you, man.
Well, trust
Uh,
me, even it's going to take me some good amount of time to actually come in here and figure out where
yeah,
is
I know.
this where is this guy at right here. Even right now, I can't figure out where this
Right.
guy is right here. So could happen if I take that class out of there. And nope, if I take that class out of there, the whole dude just disappears. So now what I'm going to have to do, and it's probably going to be impossible because probably what they're doing is they're styling this guy from an external CSS that I'm not going to have any access to. So, I mean,
Right.
I could still do it, but it's going to be a huge pain in the ass. And then, like I said,
Yes.
it's going to violate their terms of services. So I personally won't do it myself, not for my
What
stuff.
would you do? Let me ask you this to simplify the process, because I know you have better idea than this. Like, what if my client does not like that ManyChat logo? Then, you said the
Right?
custom will be fine, right? The custom bot, if we can
Yeah.
build.
Yeah. Great.
Um,
Build
and
that custom bot if he doesn't want it. Tell him, all right, buddy, fork out. You don't want that branding there? Great. I mean, I don't want that branding there neither, but you're going to have to really greatly increase your budget probably by about 1,000%. So you're going to have a much higher budget. So you want to increase
that's
your
you
budget?
answer my question. I wanted to know how much will it cost me, like if we can take out that logo. Then you just answered that it's going to be 1,000% more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you guys are seeing these flows that I built through ManyChat. I mean, this flow right here, this would probably take me 4 hours to build if I was doing a custom bot. So if I was doing this thing right here would probably take 4 hours worth of engineering. So to build out this flow right here, whereas in ManyChat, it took me like 4 minutes. So what ManyChat's really good for, in my opinion, ManyChat is really, really good for prototyping. All right. You build out the bot, you build out the prototype. That's phase one of your bot build. You're going to sell your client on phase one of your bot build, and you're going to do that through ManyChat or ChatFuel or some other open source platform. All right. Now,
Right.
you're going to show that to your client. You're going to present it. At this time, they've already paid you bukus and bukus of dollars. They've already paid you some money to go in and build out this prototype. Now, at that point, they go in and they say, yes, this is great. This is exactly what I want. It works as I want. Now comes phase two, where we actually build the custom bot. Because the custom bot I'm sure you guys have got lots of frustration using ManyChat because this shit didn't work today. That shit didn't work yesterday. You're running some ad. You're running this comment tool. Now everybody commented, but shit didn't work. Right. So now you lost all those potential subscribers and you're getting upset about that. Right. Or you've noticed, I notice all the time that if I look here, these attended sessions, attended one, two. I know a bunch of you guys actually attended one, two, and you guys actually clicked on the link. And speaking of that link, let me make sure that you guys all clicked the link for today's session. But even though you guys actually clicked that link, nothing happened. So ManyChat didn't actually tag you. ManyChat didn't actually tag you that you attended that session because they just weren't working properly at the time. Please make sure that you actually click that link and you go through and do what that link says, which is just leave some social proof and give a comment on the Facebook post about this training session. So like I said, that's what you're doing with ManyChat. With ManyChat, you're literally just prototyping your bot, or you're going to use ManyChat if you've got a lower end client that But you always want to try to upsell that custom bot, because that custom bot buys a bunch of things. I mean, one, if we're building a custom bot, any question that you ask me that starts with can we, I'm going to say yes. Before you even ask it, I'm going to say yes. It's just going to take some time. Yes, we can do it. Can we? Yes. Can we? Yes. Can we? Yes. Don't even need to listen to your question. Can we? Yes, we can. So, I mean, obviously we're limited. We're limited to the laws of quantum mechanics and the laws of physics. All right. So outside anything that falls within the laws of physics and quantum mechanics, then yes, we can do that. All right. So if you want to know if if you want to know if your bot can like put somebody in a black hole so they can travel in time, then I want to say yes, but that's going to require a pretty huge budget and, you know, a couple thousand years worth of R&D. So for in general, anything that you want to do, we can do with a custom bot. All right. We also have several other things like scalability, availability. With the custom bot, we're guaranteed availability to the terms of Facebook service. So as long as Facebook doesn't have any outages, our bot won't have any outages, unless obviously we're not really good at building custom bots and we've built a bot in an infrastructure that's not actually scalable, which if you guys hired me to do, we would never do in the first place. Everything would be truly scalable. So it allows us, I'm sure you guys have seen several times where you're broadcasting out to people and you've got a bunch of people answering you that now the bot's really delayed. You've got a 1 second delay or a 3 second delay, but the bot waits 2 minutes. Why is that? Well, that's because ManyChat server are getting overloaded, because ManyChat themselves, even as much as I love those guys, even though they banned me from their little group and shit, I still love their software. Their software is awesome. But even in the chats that I've had with those guys, they've told me about their architecture and how their architecture is, and they don't have their architecture. Even whenever I was talking to them about the whole concept of stateless engineering, which is what you need to have a fully scalable, infinitely scalable application, you need to have a stateless application, which means you need an application that exists only in definition and doesn't physically exist on a machine. That way I can take that generic definition and I can spawn up machines whenever I want that run according to that definition. That's a stateless machine. That's how you get an infinitely scalable box. They don't have that. So now they do have some amount of bandwidth. They're not behind a load balance or anything like that. So now whenever they hit their peak seasons, everybody's bot suffers. Now, if you launch a bot for a client, and someone's trying to buy a product or someone's trying to place an order from that bot and the bot is not responsive, well, at that point, you are better off not having a bot than having a bot. So it's much better to not have a bot than to have a bot that doesn't actually function. So if you have a bot that doesn't function, then your users are going to get really pissed. They're going to get mad at your brand. They're going to think your brand sucks. If you don't have a bot at all, well, then fine, no problem. If you have a bot, it better work. And those are the selling points that you have to your clients, because those are the things that allow you to actually get them to go in and now do this custom build. Now, your custom build, obviously, with me, for example, if you want to come in and say, hey, John, I want you to build a bot for me, it needs to be a custom bot. Well, we've got two pricing options here, all right? Pricing option one is I need to go in and spend my time with you, talking to you to figure out all the things that your bot needs to do and exactly what I'm going to build. Now, you can assume that I value my time a lot, so I'm going to build a really pretty penny, and I'm not actually even going to build pennies. I'm going to build dollar bills I'm going to build Benjamins for my time, all right?
Right.
So if I gotta go in and spend that time to figure out what your bot's going to do, then it's going to be more costly. Now, if you can just give me some ManyChat bot that you've already built, and when I ask you, hey, what things does a bot need to do? And you're just like, here's the bot, it's already built, it needs to do all these things that it already does in ManyChat. Well, now you've just saved yourself a ton of money, and now you've actually you've bypassed this requirement analysis phase that we have to have, and you've bypassed the brunt of the planning phase. Now, I still have to do some planning to plan the architecture of that bot in whatever language and whatever architecture that we're going to build it in. We still have to do that planning, but the major planning of what the flows are going to be, what are going to be the functions, what are going to be the methods, well, you've already done that for me in this template ManyChat bot. So that's what your ManyChat bots are really intended for. Like I said, you're going to have to give those out to your clients if they don't have a large budget. If they don't have a large budget, then they're not going to be able to build a custom bot. but you can still always be trying to sell them that custom bot because there's so many benefits in having a custom bot compared to your actual ManyChat bot.
Thanks, man. You answered my question.
Okay.
Really appreciate it. And I'll connect with you to, go over on the bot and stuff. So I'll provide you that services too. So to value your time and what you are doing, it's amazing. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And Yvonne, I'm actually building this out for you right now. So what I'm doing for you is I'm looking for people based on a custom field. And I'm looking for that custom field is going to be email. I'm looking for their email. All right. So where that value is actually going to be equal to this. So what I did is I went to ClickFunnels. I got all my action takers from ClickFunnels. Okay. So these are all the people who have taken action from ClickFunnels. Now, whenever you take action through that ClickFunnels and you give me that really small amount for the really huge value, which is still on sale until the end of this session. So if you haven't taken advantage of it, maybe you want to take advantage of it before the price goes up. So now a lot of those people, what they've done is they've taken action, but then after they took action, they gave some money and then they didn't follow instructions. So inside their bot, they're not actually tagged as an action taker. So now what I'm going to do is I've uploaded all that data to a spreadsheet called Action Takers. I've got everybody's email here. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to continue this. I'm going to look up these guys by their custom field. So I'm going to go in and try to find a ManyChat user where their email address that they gave me matches the email address that they used in ClickFunnels. All right. So I'm going to find that user. Once I find that user, then here I found a user. You see, I just found that user. That was Tony D. So Tony D has that email address. So now I'm going to go in and add another step. And in this step, I'm going to go into ManyChat and I'm going to add a tag to a user. And this is essentially the same thing that you would do. You have all this data, but it's not in ManyChat. It's somewhere else. So your delimiter here is going to be your actual email, right? You do have everybody's email. Hopefully you've collected their email addresses inside the bot. So I'm going to go in and use another custom value. I'm going to use this value from step 2, and the tag is going to be action taker. If I can find that tag, it would be great. There it is, action taker. So I'm going to continue that. And so I'm going to tag action takers inside the demo bot. And I'm going to finish this guy. I'm going to turn him on. And then I'm going to go see him in my dashboard called something like action takers. There's tag action takers. So now I can come back over here to the status, update that to a status of 1, and then come down here and then do that for everybody. Now I can run this zap. And now what this will do is it will go in, it will fire on those 71 people, and it will go in and tag everybody that is an action taker. So now if I can find your email address, because I do have your email address because you gave that to me in ClickFunnels, so I do have your email address. Now whenever you've signed up for training, I've also forced you to give me your email address whenever you sign up for training, so that now I can have this common factor that I can reference you in my bot by, and I can also reference in other places. So I've got this email address that should be the same value to tie these users together. So now that I can find these users by their email addresses, now I can push data down. So now you could go in and you've got a bunch of data collected about these users somewhere else. Let's say it's in a spreadsheet. So you could put it all in a spreadsheet, and you could do something very similar to this. You could go in and you see this is still running on all these people. So I'm going in and I'm tagging everybody as an action taker. So they didn't follow directions. So I'm going to go in, and you can only add one tag to people. And some people you see their email twice, because after you take action, I give you a really killer deal on my software. So I give you a really great deal on a bunch of softwares that I've built that make your lives really, really easy. So I give you a great deal there. So some people have went in and they've purchased that access to those softwares, so their email address is going to show up twice. But the tag itself can only ever be, you can only tag somebody once with a tag. So now everybody essentially that's taken action, if I found their email address and I have the correlation and I can match an email address from my spreadsheet with an email address in the bot, then I can find that user and I can add them, I can add this tag. I could also push down, if I can find that relation, I can also have a bunch of custom fields, Yvonne, that, and in those custom fields, I can push all the external data that you've collected in your segmentation process. You can push them down into the bot and have it into the bot like that. So anyways, this session's over. We ran a little over on this session by 5 minutes. Really sorry about that. I'm sure you guys don't care. We've got another session coming up sometime at, not really sure when. I think at 5 p.m. we've got another session. So let me just look and see when our next session is. Looks like it is 5 to 6 p.m. So we got another session. So I will see you guys at 5 to 6 p.m. If you could, just one thing, please make sure you have all clicked this link, and then you go in and follow that link and give a comment on the post. Okay? And other than that, I will see you guys really soon at 6 o'clock. All right?